Throughout Chicago Fire's 13, soon-to-be 14 seasons, many characters have come and gone, and now that one firefighter is returning, another could easily follow in his footsteps. The NBC procedural drama is entering its 14th season in the fall of 2025. When it premieres, the Chicago Fire cast will look relatively the same, minus 3 actors. The departures of Jake Lockett and Daniel Kinney from Chicago Fire were announced a few weeks prior to the season 13 finale. It was anticipated that the two, who portrayed Sam Carver and Darren Ritter on the program, respectively, would depart before season 14. However, we now know that one of the 2 actors will be returning as the premiere draws near. Darren Ritter is confirmed to appear in Chicago Fire season 14. Daniel Kinney shared the exciting news. Chicago Fire star Daniel Kinney is returning for season 14, despite his frustrating season 13 exit. The actor shared the exciting news on his Instagram story via TV Line. The photo featured him on set, alongside Hanako Greensmith, who plays Violet Mikami, and Jocelyn Hewden, who portrays Lizzie Novak, and the text on the screen read, "Back, for a limited time only." Given that Chicago Fire is in the early days of production on season 14, Kinney will likely reprise his role as Ritter in the premiere. He might even stick around for the first few episodes. However, Ritter's return is temporary. Based on his Instagram story, Kinney is probably back only to give closure to his character's storyline before leaving once more. Carver's return is more likely following the news about Ritter. Jake Lockett also exited Chicago Fire after season 13. If Kinney is returning to close out Ritter's character arc, then Jake Lockett could also reprise his role as Carver in Chicago Fire season 14 to do the same. After all, the Chicago Fire season 13 finale left many questions unanswered concerning both men. The last episode barely featured Ritter, while it ended on a cliffhanger concerning Carver and Violet's relationship. At the beginning of the Chicago Fire season 13 finale, Carver told Violet that he had requested a transfer to the Denver Fire Department. He wanted a fresh start, as Chicago held too many bad memories. However, after Violet, finally, gave Carver her letter, he sped over to her apartment to kiss her and tell her that he loved her. Violet returned Carver's feelings, and Chicago Fire season 13 ended with the two making out on the street in front of Violet's building. So, it's unclear what will happen to the couple in season 14. Is Carver still moving to Denver, or will he stay in Chicago to be with Violet? The former is, sadly, more likely, given Lockett's exit. Whatever the case, Lockett must be present to give Carver closure. Since Kinney appears to be doing that for Ritter in Chicago Fire season 14, it's much more likely that Lockett will return as well. The series can't just close out Carver's story via some throwaway line about him moving to Denver. Carver deserves better than that. Chicago Fire would be better off if Ritter and Carver stayed at Firehouse 51. Ritter and Carver leaving is a mistake. Of course, it is thrilling that Ritter, and hopefully Carver, is coming back to Firehouse 51 in Chicago Fire season 14. However, it is more disappointing to learn that his return will be short-lived. Ritter is truly leaving the One Chicago universe, and it's a shame because the NBC procedural drama TV series is better with him and Carver in it. Chicago Fire often neglected Kinney's character, opting to focus on other storylines instead of giving Ritter a juicy plot. The One Chicago show ignored Ritter more often than not, and now it will never get the chance to redeem its mistakes because Kinney is leaving. The audience will never see Ritter reach his full potential, and that is a shame. All in all, Chicago Fire is making a big mistake by getting rid of Ritter and Carver. Meanwhile, Chicago Fire is abandoning one of its best love stories with Lockett's exit. Carver and Violet had great chemistry, and their will-they/won't they relationship was alluring. Now, the fans are losing a romance that never truly began. Carver was also a complex, interesting character on his own. All in all, Chicago Fire is making a big mistake by getting rid of Ritter and Carver. Enjoy Screen Rant's primetime coverage? Click below to sign up for our weekly Network TV newsletter. Make sure to check Network TV in your preferences, and get the inside scoop from actors and showrunners on your favorite series. In the crackling glow of Firehouse 51's garage, A cold morning light slants through grimy windows, and the faint smell of machinery oil mingles with adrenaline and ash in the air. This season, whispers float like embers down the hall. Two familiar faces might be stepping back into the orbit of the station, unexpectedly, hauntingly, returning not as regulars, but as pivotal sparks reigniting old wounds, unfinished beginnings, and the fierce hope that connection can still survive through flames. The first is Ritter, whose absence at the end of season 13 felt abrupt and unresolved, his chapter seemingly cut short. But then a quiet headline emerges. Kinney has been spotted on set, teetering between farewell and reunion, promising for a limited time only glimpses of closure, stories untold, and perhaps the one final heartbeat he's owed to himself, to Stella's crew, and to us. His watchers imagine the gravity of his return. Ritter walking through the bay doors in that unassuming posture, bearing burdens and regrets, delivering conversations that crack open the possibility of healing. For him, for Truck 81, for the bloodline of hearts forged in fire. And then, alongside him, another shadow stirs. Speculation that Sam Carver, whose departure felt like a strong note fading into the distance, might emerge again. Not as a full-time presence, but as a resonant echo, perhaps stepping back into the chaos to deliver one big ending, as teased by showrunner Andrea Newman's screen rant The Economic Times. Picture Carver arriving, firefighter eyes scanning familiar faces before finding Stella, offering that dodge between solace and sorrow only he can give. Flashbacks of camaraderie, shots of them in action, laughter, ribbing, unspoken connections filling the silence. These two returns, Ritter and possibly Carver, could converge in a single episode curveball, turning departure into catharsis, loss into legacy, binding past and present through tension, tears, and that rush of "we're not done yet." It's not just a casting note. It's a narrative invitation. What if the station is asked to confront what happens when those you thought gone come back, demanding reckoning, offering forgiveness, stirring old loyalties, and changing everything again? And in this grand, solitary paragraph of imagination, every heartbeat in the bay, a slammed locker, a dripping hose, a whispered radio, pulses with the promise that season 14 isn't merely about new arrivals or clean slates, but about the unfinished lives that return, unannounced, to remind these heroes, and us, that some stories aren't meant to pause, and that coming home, even briefly, can rewrite endings into beginnings. Let this single paragraph be your cinematic stage. Roaring trucks, spinning water, stoic faces glinting with regret and relief, as Chicago fire kindles mythic returns in the dance of smoke and memory. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe my sister wives to our channel, and stay with TS.